Hi everyone, my name is Maddie, welcome back to my channel and welcome to my March book haul. Every single month, I go into the month being like, I'm not gonna get many books, I'm not gonna buy many, I'm sure people won't send things off my wish list, all of this. I go in every month so confident. And then we get to this time of the month that I realize I have way too many books. I have a tracking spreadsheet on my laptop which tells me how many books I get each month because I like write them all down when I haul them. And that's how I keep track of like what I need to talk about in each video because I'm also rubbish at remembering. And every month that I'm like, right, let's go grab the like 5 books I got this month. I look at that list and realize there's like 15 and just, I don't know how it keeps happening. I'm trying so hard to not do this, but I'm gonna count. I think even though I've hauled a lot of books, I might be in a net positive for reading more than I hauled. At least it'll be close. Yeah, okay, so I'm hauling 17 books today. I think I've already read 18 and I'm hoping to get that to 20 by the end of the month. So I don't feel too bad about hauling so many because I'm still reading more than I hauled, which is overall my aim, is to be reading more than I hauled. Last 2 months I've completely failed in that, but this month it's been a success. So as we always do, we're gonna go through these in 3 categories. We're gonna go through ones sent to me by publishers, we're gonna go through ones sent to me by you guys, and then we're gonna go through the ones that I bought for myself. And we're just gonna get started. We're gonna jump straight in because let's not do too much preamble. We know why we're here. I'm gonna tell you the books I got this month. Some of them I've already read, a lot of them I obviously haven't, but let's go. So the first 2 books I have are from the same publisher, so I'll kind of talk about these together, and they are The Actuality by Paul Braddon and Kings of a Dead World by Jamie Mullart. Not doing well with names today. And these are both sent to me by Sandstone Press, so thank you to Sandstone Press for these 2. And I will go through individual synopses, of course, but these are 2 speculative fiction arcs. For anyone who doesn't know, dystopian is like one of my favourite genres ever, but I would actually broaden that out to speculative fiction. Not all of those kind of books that I love have to be dystopian, they don't have to be a world that's gone wrong. I just love anything speculative. I've said this many times. If it's following society where some aspect of society has changed, and then it's like an analysis and a picture into what that society now looks like, that is my jam. I am here for it. And both of these follow that exactly. So very quickly, synopses. The Actuality follows a kind of almost human, near perfect bioengineered human called Evie. And she's living in England where basically these bioengineered humans are now outlawed, but her husband has kept her and is still in love with her. And so she then kind of has to escape and kind of brave the streets of London in this kind of dystopian future to see if she can survive. Sounds fascinating. Not my favorite cover, but I feel like it might work very well for the book. And then the second one, this is the one I'm really hyped for. This is Kings of a Dead World. And oh my God, this follows a futuristic world where basically the world has run out of resources. Exactly where we're currently heading. And because of this, what they have decided to do, instead of just like decreasing the population or anything like this, like they don't know what to do. So the whole world is put into a cryogenic sleep and then like you're woken up at intervals, different people at different times to basically eke out these resources for as long as possible. And you're following in this a janitor who's like the only person who's always awake because he has to monitor everyone. But then I think all of a sudden everyone wakes up and there's something else dodgy going on. I don't know. I'm really excited for this one. It just sounds fascinating to me. Just I'm so intrigued by it, and I may try and do a video reading these and a couple other speculative books I have, but we will see. So those are the first 2. Thank you to Sandstone Press. Moving on, we have one of my most anticipated 2021 releases. This is now out. The Unbroken by C.L. Clarke. This was very kindly sent to me by Orbit, so thank you to them. This is sapphic fantasy. What else do we need to know? But I'll give you a bit of a blurb in case you want to know more. So this follows Terrain, who is a soldier, stolen as a child, raised to kill and die for the Empire. She owes loyalty only to her fellow conscripts, but now she's been sent back to her homeland to stop a rebellion, and the ties of blood may be stronger than she thought. And then there's also Luca, who needs a turncoat, someone who can sway the rebels towards peace, while Luca focuses on what really matters, winning back her throne. This is the line that makes me intrigued. Through assassinations and massacres in bedrooms and war rooms, Terrain and Luca will haggle over the price of a nation, but some things aren't for sale. I am so ready for this chunky fantasy. I cannot even describe. I'm so excited. Everyone's been saying it, but I'm here for it too. Look at the biceps. Just gorgeous, obsessed. So excited for this one, and I know a lot of my friends have been reading it and loving it. I know Katie has read it and loved it, I'm pretty sure. I know Justine from I Should Read That literally stayed up till 3 AM last night to read it because she couldn't put it down. I cannot even describe how excited I am. So thank you so much to Orbit for this one, and this one is now out in both the US and the UK if you want to pick it up. Next up, this one was sent to you by Orion, specifically the imprint Trapeze, and this is Looking for Eliza by Leif Arbuthnot. I have no idea if that's how you say that, I highly doubt it. But anyway, this is slightly different to what I normally read. This is like an adult contemporary story, but it sounds really interesting, and I know India has just given it 4 stars, and we tend to agree on our reading tastes, so I'm intrigued to give it a go. And this follows a university student and an older woman who are like both really lonely, cannot form good meaningful relationships, they're really struggling, and then they meet each other and basically form this like friendship bond. And I love that exploration of loneliness and the difference in loneliness between young people and old people, because it is very, very different. And apparently this is adorable, and I'm really here for it. And I think it's also queer. Yes, Eliza, the student at the uni, is queer because she's just broken up with her girlfriend. So super here for this one, intrigued to give it a go. It should be pretty quick. Yeah, it should be really quick. So thank you to Orion for sending this one over. I'm intrigued to give it a go. And next up we have a very anticipated release for most people. I'm not so sure it's going to be for me, but I'll probably give it a go at some point because the hype will almost certainly get to me. And that is Malice by Heather Walter. This is a sapphic retelling of Maleficent, I think, the evil queen from Sleeping Beauty, if I am correct. It's pretty chunky, I'm not gonna lie. It's pretty chunky. I am really intrigued by this because it's sapphic, but retellings are like so not my thing. I don't very often read retellings, and when I do, I don't often enjoy them. So I'm not sure if this is gonna be for me, but I know a lot of people have been reading it and loving it, so, you know, not completely giving up on it. And this is coming out on the 13th of April and is apparently a YA/crossover fiction. So I'm intrigued, I'll give it a go at some point, probably when the hype gets big because it's queer, but thank you to Del Rey for sending it, but not necessarily my top choice for book to read. Next up, not from a publisher, but from Illumicrate, is A Dark and Hollow Star by Ashley Shuttleworth. I was an Illumicrate rep for November through to February, and this was in the February box. So this was the last Illumicrate book I'll be getting for free from them. I will continue to get them, but I'm buying the boxes from here on out. So this is a super queer urban fantasy fae story. I know it has gangs, it has like an underground fae thing, it's got loads of betrayal. It's got 4 key characters, all of whom are queer in different ways. Like I think we've got a genderqueer person, we've got a pan person, we've got all sorts. I'm intrigued. This is also the FAES and Gaze book club pick for March, so we'll be reading this very, very soon. It's got gorgeous pink sprayed edges. I'm so excited. I've been hearing slightly mixed things. I know a lot of my friends have absolutely loved it, but I've also seen a couple people say it's kind of slow, it's kind of too wordy, so we'll see where I fall on that spectrum, but I'm super intrigued to give this one a go when I can. I feel like I might regret doing this stack, but we'll keep going for now. Okay, so moving on to the books from you guys. Don't have too many this month, but as always, thank you so much to every single person who sends me something off my wish list. Please know it is always greatly appreciated. Just, I can't believe that some of you guys even do this, so thank you. But starting off, we have The Saviour's Champion by Jenna Moresi. This was sent to me by Megan, who is a sort of recent booktube friend who, well not, she has actually just started booktube as well, but a recent like book2net friend. We bonded over our love of Lady Taylor. So I am so intrigued by this one. I hadn't heard of this until quite recently, but I know Cody from Cody's Book Corner read it and really enjoyed it. And it's like a slightly dystopian story. There's like an underground maze. There's people fighting for someone's hand in marriage. It sounds dark. It's beautiful. I'm just so intrigued by this, and I also massively trust Cody's recommendations. We tend to have quite similar reading tastes, so I'm pretty optimistic if she loves it that I probably will. So thank you so much to Megan for this one. I am so intrigued to give it a go. I know I don't know much about it, but like, I kind of don't want to. So I guess just a little bit of it. Tobias is thrown into a sovereign's tournament with 19 other men, each of them is fighting and killing for the chance to rule at the Saviour's side. Instantly the world is plagued with violence, treachery, and manipulation, revealing the hidden ugliness of his proud realm. So it sounds like a vibe. I'm here for it. I'm excited to give it a go, and I think Megan and I are going to try and buddy read this at some point. No idea when, but at some point. Next up from Rebecca, we do have Surrender Your Sons by Adam Sass. I am so intrigued by this. I know this is about like a conversion camp. So yeah, this is following a guy called Connor whose SAT scores are not good, and like he's just come out to his religious mother. So she has him kidnapped and shipped off to a secluded island, which is Nightlight Ministries conversion therapy camp. And so he basically wants to escape this camp and then also like bring to light what they're doing. So this sounds like a really dark LGBT story, and I'm really intrigued. It feels almost thriller-esque. And I'm just super intrigued by that. And it's also really pretty under the dust jacket. Just like, it's really subtle, but it's got this pattern on it. And like, there we go. I just love it. And then it's got it in dark on the back as well, just because it's cool. I love it. So really intrigued by this one. It sounds a lot darker than most of the YA contemporary LGBT stuff that I read, but I'm very intrigued to give it a go. Next up, we have Each of Us a Desert by Mark Oshiro, which is from VL Teasdale. I am so intrigued by this one. Anger is a Gift by Mark Oshiro is a book I've had for ages and really want to read, but just haven't quite gotten to yet. And then this one sounds even better. I'm pretty sure this is LGBT. I feel like it could have a non-binary or genderqueer or gender fluid main character. I can't remember now, but I know it sounds amazing. But yeah, I know this is magical realism, and as I said, I can't remember the exact synopsis, but I know this is one that I've been hearing about for ages and wanted to read for ages, and it just sounds like the kind of book I'm going to love. So I'm super intrigued, and I just love the colour of the cover. That like really deep kind of, this colour of my shirt, actually greeny colour with the bright orange. Gorgeous, love it. Next up from Kayla at All About the Page, we have The Factory Witches of Lowell, which I have already read. I'll link the video where I read a whole load of Tor novellas up there. And this is a really interesting one. This is I was gonna say retelling, no it's not. This is a story about factory workers, so sort of weavers and women who work in workhouses in an old era, I can't remember exactly which century, in America, and then they basically start unionizing and working against people, like a suffragette kind of movement, women empowerment, to get their demands met for better work conditions and more pay and all of that, and magic is involved. Fun little story, it is queer, wasn't my favourite, but it's a very, very good read, so thank you to Kayla for sending me this. And then finally from Tracy, we do have Fence Volume 4, Rivals. I have read volumes 1 through 3 of Fence, so I'll probably try and reread them before reading Volume 4 because my memory is dodgy. And I loved them. This is a really fun graphic novel story about a school which has a fencing team, and about this guy who's kind of coming from underneath who wants to get onto it, and like versus lots of rich kids, really different upbringing, really interesting. I actually did fencing at school, so I loved reading about it. It was really interesting how much of it I remembered. So yeah, I absolutely loved the first 3 volumes of this. Super intrigued to carry on with Volume 4, which I think may actually be the last volume, which is kind of scary and kind of sad, but I may be wrong in that. I hope I'm wrong in that because I love these characters. Okay, now we are moving on to the books that I got for myself in March. The first being The Day of the Triffids by John Wyndham. I don't buy many classics. However, this is the Burned Books Club pick for March and April, so I'll be reading this in April. And this is a classic dystopian story. Very brief overview as best I can give it, having not read it. This follows a guy who is in the hospital with his eyes covered when some big event happens that makes everyone go blind. So he manages to keep his sight, unlike most people. But then there's also these plants called Triffids, which are kind of like been able to start walking and I think eat people, or at least kill people. I don't know. It sounds creepy. I know a few people in the group chat for this book club have already been reading it and said like, it's really interesting, it's really weird, not sure about it. So I'm intrigued to give it a go, but yeah, this is the edition I got. With it being classic, there's quite a lot of editions, but this is the easiest one to come by, and I quite like the cover, so we went with this one. But yeah, I'm for sure definitely intrigued by this one, and we'll be reading it soon, so we'll see if I get on with it. Next up, we have one of my most anticipated releases of 2021. I couldn't resist getting this one. I was trying so hard to resist, and then a couple people in my Patreon Discord mentioned they had read it and loved it, or their friends had read it and loved it, and I was like, I can't wait any longer, so I got it, and that is Perfect on Paper by Sophie Gonzalez. This I do know about. I was gonna say I don't. I do. This follows, I don't know the main characters' names, Darcy, who is bisexual. We love bisexual representation, and she has like an anonymous relationship advice service she offers at her school. Massive vibes with Sex Education, which is like my favorite TV show ever. And yeah, she strikes a deal with a guy to try and get him like liked by the girl he likes, and I think they fall for each other. I don't know, it sounds good. I'm hyped for it. I know this book has a bisexual main character who ends up in a male-female relationship, which is my favourite thing to find in books, and I haven't read Only Mostly Devastated by Sophie Gonzalez, which was their debut, but I know a lot of people loved it, so hopefully this one holds up. I've seen a lot of people loving this one too, so I'm excited, and I'm hoping to maybe read this one for Readathon on the 3rd of April. So maybe that'll happen. Got quite a colourful stack going this month. Obviously there's some black ones like always, but there's some colour happening. Next up, we do have a book I've actually already read, and that is Honey Girl by Morgan Rogers. This, I want to say, is an adult/new adult contemporary romance, but I would actually just say it's contemporary. The premise makes it sound like romance, but I would say don't go into it expecting like cutesy romance, because the second half is very much hard-hitting contemporary, so go carefully. And this follows Grace, who has just finished her PhD, goes to Vegas to celebrate, gets very drunk and marries another woman, and doesn't even know who this person is, manages to track them down. It's cute, but yeah, it's not romance the whole way through. So just go in knowing that, but it was a really fun read. Oh, we've reached the point where the stack no longer supports itself. Come on, only got a few more books. I can do this. This is such a bad idea. Okay, so the next book I bought myself, the next three actually I bought all at once because I just caved. Basically, a couple of the books I read for Bookoplathon had sequels, and I was like, right, I want them now. So I just ordered them. The first being Kingdom of Flesh and Fire by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I read From Blood and Ash for Bookoplathon. Really enjoyed it, and I've heard that this one's even better. Everyone's dying at the end of this wanting to read the third book. I have no idea when I'm going to get to this, but whenever it is, I am excited because I just think I'm going to love this, and I get the impression there's going to be a lot more smut in this one than the first one, which we are here for, because the smut was slightly lacking in From Blood and Ash. Just from the way everyone speaks about the series, I thought there'd be a little bit more. The sexual tension was great. Could have done with a tiny bit more smut, so very ready to give this one a go. Quick synopsis for From Blood and Ash though, that does follow a girl, oh my god, what is the main character's name? Poppy. This follows Poppy, who is the maiden, so she's not allowed to speak to anyone, she's not allowed to be seen by anyone, she's like completely isolated, but she's actually kind of not. She's breaking the rules quite a lot, and she meets this guy called Hawk, and there's a lot of sexual tension. There was a lot more fantasy to it than I expected, more world building and like a really cohesive plot going on, which I love. I thought it'd be more like some of the other fantasy romance I've read, which is a bit more just focused on the romance, which is fine by me. But I did appreciate the full like fantasy story going on as well. So intrigued to read this one and then the third one whenever it comes out. And then cry, because it's going to be like 6 books total and I've got a long time to wait. Okay, so the last two I'm going to talk about together because they very much go together, and that is Skyward Volume 2 and Skyward Volume 3. I read Skyward Volume 1 for Bookoplathon and loved it so much. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fascinating, and then I found out there's only 3 volumes in the whole series, so I was like, may as well just get them both and like read them really soon. So I'm probably going to be reading these like in the next week if I can. And just to give you an overview, Skyward follows a futuristic world where for whatever reason gravity in the world no longer exists, and so people have had to learn to live and adapt to live in a world without gravity. And there's lots of nefarious things going on. Really interesting. Loved the first volume. Cannot wait to continue with this series. A nice, decent stack. I'm not going to try and lift the whole thing because I did a workout for the first time a couple of days ago and my upper body is killing me. So we're gonna pretend I'm holding this stack. There we go. Oh, would you look at that? So yeah, those are all the books I got this month. Pretty chunky stack, but even still, I did read more books than I got, so I'm pretty happy with that. But that is it for the video. Let me know what books you got this month. Did you have a pretty good haul month? Were you actually sensible and not hauling too many books? Let me know in the comments. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you'd like to see more content from me. Links to all of my social media as well as the read-alongs and book clubs that I host are linked down below in the description if you want to check any of that out, as well as my Patreon and my wish list. But that is it for this video, so bye, and I'll see you in the next one.